Yo, so I've had well, I can't sleep. If you're watching this, and I don't know if it's your first time, I do woodwork, I do hacks, I do little bits and pieces in my Hobbit workshop. But just recently, I've spoken more and more about my past. It's fine. I'm absolutely fine with it. If there's any questions or anything that you want to know or anything, I am more than happy to talk about any of my experiences. But I have been asked a few questions from you guys, and I want to address them, and I didn't know how to do that because I love bringing energy and woodwork and a mixture of humour and just getting on with life to YouTube. But then there's the blah, there's my past, and I won't hide from it. I don't want to hide from it. I don't want to not talk about it. And like a couple of you guys said on here, it is something that is avoided. It's massively avoided, and if people don't talk about things, it doesn't seem to get any better. I mean, I haven't been to therapy, and I don't go out a lot. I haven't got many friends, and so I don't speak massively about it. So it's a little bit out my wheelhouse. However, a few people have asked how I have stayed sober and clean for approaching 6 years. 6 years on the 22nd of February. Well, the odds were stacked against me. I knew that. I'll go in a little bit more in depth, and it's fine if this isn't your thing. I completely understand. It's a different flavour to what I normally do. However, it is a part of me, and mental health, like I think I said in my other video, if you've not been affected by addiction in some form or another, or knew somebody in addiction, be that alcohol, drugs, gambling, there's a lot of addictions out there. I was an addict. I was a drug addict and alcoholic from when, seriously, probably as I left school. The drugs and drinks started when I was at school. I liked getting drunk. I liked dabbling with drugs. I grew up in the 90s. So there was a lot of acid, ease. They were cheap. Cannabis, obviously. Then I started doing quite well. I worked for a building company, and it was on relatively decent money. I didn't see a lot of that money for the simple reason I put most of it up my nose. My drugs of choice were everything, and I think if you speak to an addict that's been an addict as long as I was, for 20 years, that you have a go-to drug, but basically it's everything and anything. I overdosed, I think it was 5 or 6 times. The last time was touch and go, and I still didn't quit straight away. My last overdose was Halloween. Yeah, and I got clean then in the February, so work that out, it's about 4 months. So I didn't get clean for another 4 months. What had happened previous to that, I think the old school mental breakdown is what happened. I was always susceptible to drink and drugs. Like I say, I was a functioning addict for years and years and years, and then my dad died when I was 35. I was a caretaker at school, and so was my dad, and he died of a heart attack at 59. And we didn't have the best of relationships early on in my life because I was a bit of a piece of shit, to be perfectly honest. I was egocentric, I was arrogant, I was selfish, I was not a nice person, and all I ever seem to think is if ever I see anyone from my past, I start with, I'm really sorry with the way that I was. I wasn't a nice person, and it had to take a lot of wind out of my sail to realise what a prick I was, and how I was treating people, and that I was going to end up a very, very lonely man or dead. So let's go back to when I was 35. My dad died. I worked as a caretaker at a school. That's where I met my wife. And I'm still with her, happier than ever 10 years on. How and why she stuck with me, it must be love, because I don't know many people that would have stuck that out. So if you are an addict, or of any sort, I can obviously more relate to drug addicts and alcoholics, although I have had problems with gambling. But when you hear the word addictive personality, I wasn't quite 100% sure what that meant, why that made me different to everybody else, an addictive personality. But as I've got older, I'm approaching 46. As I've got older, I've now realised that an addictive personality is exactly what it says. You get addicted. You can be to anything. I've been addicted to the gym. I've been addicted to steroids. I've been addicted drugs, drink, and if I'm not doing one, I'm doing another. And you replace things. We get told this, we replace things. So I spoke to a guy that he started his journey, which is fantastic. You've knocked the serious drugs, the class A's, on the head. But what's took over is cigarettes and cannabis and alcohol. That will happen. Start changing them out. How I did it, the way that I did it is, obviously I was given that ultimatum near enough. I hit the floor. I overdosed. I died. I was on the floor. I was covered in sick. I was covered in my own piss. I was a mess. I was on a threadbare carpet in a dirty council house. And this was only less than 6 years ago. My kids were at school. My wife had left, although she came back every day. I did touch on this in my last video. Just bear with me a second, just in case you've not seen my other video. And then I hit the deck. And I'm not a religious person. I don't look up and think I've got this higher power. I just don't. But I prayed. I prayed there and then, and I prayed and I said, if I can get off this floor, I will straighten my life out. I had said that a lot though. So when I did manage to get up off the floor, I did manage to get myself to the doctors. I ended up in hospital. My appendix exploded. I was in a real mess. I also smashed my head open, and I now live with epilepsy. I seizure between once and twice a week. It can happen anytime. I can wet myself. I bite my tongue. I hit my head. I do whatever, and I've caused that. I've caused this, and my wife still looks after me. Now that's a bitter pill to swallow, but I've got my life. So rather than looking at what I don't have, which is money, a nice car, this and everything else, I look at what I do have. And that's the change in you. That's what will make a bit of a change in your life. Not thinking what you haven't got, but actually what you have. It can be smaller things, you know, family, a friend, something. We all have things in our life that we need. We also know what's bad for us. Now, when I got clean, I was an alcoholic. When I was drinking either a bottle of spirits a day or a crate of beer a day. Maybe both, depending on the drugs that I'd done. I woke up with a line of coke and amphetamines. I did that all the way through the day. I then later on maybe smoke on a crack pipe or cannabis, more alcohol to start coming down, morphine to start coming down, pregabalin to start coming down, more alcohol to come down. And then if I couldn't come down, I'd start again, back on the coke, back on the amphetamine. Listen, this is the truth. This went on. This is when I got to a point of not functioning. And about 5 years of blowing through my mum and dad's inheritance and killing myself. What turned it around? Again, I know the odds were stacked against me at that point. But what turned it around was my family and the want to live. I was 39 when this happened, and at that point, I know if you're an addict right now, or you're an ex-addict, you know yourself that you think to yourself, what's the point? What's the point? What life would I possibly have without drink? Is it worth it? What life would it be if I didn't have drugs? You know, what's the point? Would I even be happy? Why struggle every day with mental health, with the mundane shit of life, when you can get smashed off your face and, yeah, probably die young, but ultimately we accepted that. And we all accepted that. Our loved ones don't accept that. And that's the thing, that we have accepted it. As an ex-alcoholic, an ex-drug addict, I completely accepted death. I knew it was coming. In fact, I wanted it to come. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. In fact, sometimes I sighed and I was like, oh, fucking hell, another day. Another massive turning point is when you can be honest. That took years. And even when I became completely honest, right at the end, when I absolutely had to, I wanted to make that change. I wanted to quit. I needed to quit. I was going to quit. Did it all come out? I sat my wife down and told her absolutely everything that had happened. I lied about it for so long, and from that day forward, I have never lied to her again. It is so humbling. It's such a release, a freedom that I've never felt. Being completely honest, wanting to live, and accepting that I am going to be a different person. Which then gets you on to exactly what I said before. If you can stay clean, sober, 4 days, weeks, you feel the gut punch massively of the mental strain, the mental illness in your head. You're fighting with yourself every day. So then you get your mental illness and it fucking strikes you hard. And you just, again, you learn to live with it. You don't get over it. In fact, I don't think. No, I don't think. I'm thinking. Did I beat that in some way? No, I don't think I did. I think that it's still there. It still lives there. There still is that dark place. Absolutely, there's that fucking dark place. But I'm in control now, and when you take back that control, when you can be honest, when you can ask for help, your new life will start. And it took me till I was 39. I did this journey 2 or 3 times. I got days, weeks, even months sometimes. And I kept going back. 39 was my life or death. And I had to hit rock bottom. Not rock bottom. There's another 6 fucking layers down than rock bottom. When you've hit 6 layers down from rock bottom, and you have that choice, hopefully. I'm lucky I got that choice, because I OD'd, like I said, I OD'd. And I picked life. I did not know who I was. I was always the life and soul of the party. I thought I was the life and soul of the party. I was a prick. I was, like I say, arrogant, violent, everything, and all of the above. I am ashamed of what I was. And like I said, people say to me that, yeah, forgive yourself. You've got to forgive yourself at some point. Forgive yourself at some point. Absolutely not. There's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to forgive myself ever. I don't want to forgive myself. I do I use it as a punishment? Yeah, I suppose a little bit. It's no less than I deserve. If I get it thrown at me, sometimes every now and again I'll get it thrown at me, but it's rightfully so. You know, I was a barefaced liar. We learn this trade of lying constantly because we have to, and it all had to stop. But I did not know who I was. I drank before I went out of the house every day, drink drugs every day. And looking back, they make you a different person. And I was confident. I was everything. When it all stopped, I didn't particularly like the person that I became, to be perfectly honest with you. Not at first. I didn't like crowds. I didn't particularly like people. I couldn't suffer fools, and I wanted to hide. I wanted to hide away, and it was tough. It was tough for years. And I won't say that it was an easy journey, but it's also been the best journey. What journeys that are any good, that are fucking memorable, are easy? You know? Was it Schopenhauer said, life without pain has no meaning? There you go. We've all got pain, but I want life. And I promise, if you're watching this, and it's got nothing to do with Notoriety. I'm not paid. I'm not sponsored. In fact, it costs me money. It costs my wife money. I've said this. I do this pure and simply because if I can just help the odd person, one person would be enough to help, and it helps. I know it helps me. And someone actually said it's good to talk, and you're absolutely right. I am now talking to addicts, people like me, or the effects that we have caused on people, the parents, the wives, the husbands, the sons, daughters, uncles, the pain that we have caused on you people is nearly irreparable. But because you love us that much, we abuse that. We abuse that right. Now, if you want to stop, genuinely want to stop, and live life, it's great. It's when people say reborn, it's a bit religious for me, the whole reborn thing. But at 39, I was reborn. I was reborn to a completely different person. And at first, like I say, I didn't particularly like him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't even have a sense of humour. It was strange. It was a very, very strange thing. My whole persona changed, and I no longer was this sort of tattooed, steroid, arsey twat. I was now a guy that wanted to hide away in his little workshop, making toys and enjoying life, going out to the cinema with my wife, playing with the kids. I love my life. And that isn't a piss take to people that are struggling. Listen, if you're struggling right now, and you're worried about the morning, because you know what morning will bring. It'll bring that fucking hangover. It'll bring the need for it to come back in your life. Do you know what I suggest, genuinely, is for it to, if you're completely serious and you want to make these changes and you want to move forward and you want to get clean, I promise you, if you message me on here, I've also put an email, a private email. It's in the bio. Is it in my bio? It's a private. It's here actually. awoodworkinglife@hotmail.com. You can private message me on there, and if there's enough of us that get together, because I'm also on a sober app as well. I don't work the 12 steps, but I do use stoicism. It's not a cult. It's a belief. It's an ideology. Marcus Aurelius was one of the first to act upon this. So we're going back a long time. It's a beautiful thing, and it has helped me immensely. I've never spoken about it, only to my wife, and she absolutely accepts it. That Stoicism for me is like a religion. I'm ashamed and embarrassed about what I did, but I can't change it, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I do have the choice. There is things I can do, which means I can be humbled by my past. I don't have to be arrogant. I can choose to talk about it with others, help others. I can move forward, learn from it. It's not too late. I was 39, I had kids, I had failed relationships, I was a fucking mess. A real mess. The next stage, well, it was death. And I destroyed every relationship I'd ever fucking been in. And I mean parents, everybody. And I didn't think I had another chance. I thought that was it. I thought it was done. And I went from there. I picked myself up. I told the truth. That was the first step. As soon as I got off the floor, I told the truth. Hardest thing I ever did, but the best thing I ever did. All the people, they knew really deep down. So when I told them, it wasn't a huge shock. I told them that I had lied and that I was taking drugs. I had done this, I had stolen this, I had done everything. And I said everything and done everything. And my wife and a few friends and most of my family stuck by me for who I am. You can do it. I promise you can do it. 20 years I was an awful addict, and the odds are stacked against us massively. The idea that we can get clean, certainly 20 years after being an addict, is pretty unlikely. And I have caused irreparable damage. Like I say, my wife, my family, me, now I live with epilepsy. Terrible mental health. It's took a long time coming, but a bipolar, I'm going through a bipolar thing at the minute as well. That isn't an excuse. It's not an excuse for why I've done the things that I've done, but there are more answers to be had. And when you can start working out why you've been doing things that you've been doing, you can start slowing the destructive behavior down. And that first look at Stoicism, I'm happy to continue doing this. And what I'll possibly do, if you're okay with this, if people want to talk, I think it's a great thing. And although I didn't get massive views on this type of video last time, that really didn't matter. The dozen or so people that I spoke to after was absolutely worth it. So if you're struggling with mental health, addiction, it's 2:15 in the morning and my brain has not stopped ticking because I've been thinking about this. And again, if it just reaches a few people and you want to talk, let's talk. Let's do it. Let's talk. And email me or message me on here. And then what maybe we could do is on certain days of the week, weekends, whatever it may be, we can act a little bit like each other's sponsors and we can talk. I'll go live so we can talk and we can answer some questions. I can only tell you from my point of view how I did things, how it made me feel, how maybe I moved past it. And I'm intrigued to hear other people's stories as well. But ultimately, there's a lot of people out there like us. Let's not, people think of an addict and automatically they put their hands on their pockets because they think they're going to take the wallet. And they think of scumbags, uneducated, toothless, tattooed scumbags. And, you know, I suppose I could have accepted that title at one point, but it doesn't define who you are, and it hasn't defined who I am, I promise you that, because my wife fucking deserves better, my children deserve better, my family deserve better. They deserve better from me, and I know that. I knew that anyway, and I will spend the rest of my life making up for that. So I want you guys to know that, and I didn't do the video lightly. I'm not doing this one lightly either. It's not the easiest thing to talk about, and when you're talking to a screen and not knowing how you're going to be judged on the other side. I've been rambling now for 26 minutes, and I have absolutely no idea if anyone will get to 26 minutes. If you have, and you're still here after 26 minutes, and you feel that talking about it, if I go live 2 or 3 times a week later on in the evening, so I can do my woodworking and I can bring a bit of fun and a bit of energy through the day and mess around doing different things and toys and lights and Christmas, awesome. But I am more than happy to add a bit more depth into this channel and to my subscribers. Like I said before, I am massively humbled, and I thank you so much that I have as many subscribers as I do. I can't believe it. Again, it's because I didn't know who I was, and I am nobody special, absolutely not. But I might be able to use what I've got or what you guys have done for me by subscribing, and see if there's a little community of us that we can help each other. And if you think that maybe going live, being able to talk to somebody openly, freely, with absolutely no judgment, let me know. I think it would help me, and we can see where it goes. We can just talk, no judgment, just some truths. And even if it's just something that you're toying with and think, you know what, I just want to hear what he's got to say, I want to hear how he did it, I might be interested in doing it, I might not. Let's talk about it. So I'll leave you with that. I'm going to try and get some sleep. It's now 20 past 2. I come round to my little Hobbit workshop to do this. I am sorry that I'm rambling on. Obviously I'm being a little bit careful. I have got neighbours. Thank you if you've watched this, like I say, half an hour of me rabbiting on. I just wanted to give you a little bit of my story, so then if you are interested and we do decide to, you know what, we'll go live in the evenings, do some talking, some questions, some answers, and maybe even bring some of you on. If you're on YouTube, maybe we can talk, and you can maybe put some of your story out there, if your story will help others as well. It's a massive problem. It's a massive problem, and maybe we can just help each other a little bit. So hopefully I'll catch you at the next one. Have a good night.